PC builds are not as scary as you think. I've been getting back into that space for the last few months. I changed careers recently for the guts of a year now, maybe 10 months. I've been working in IT and just improving other people's computer systems day in, day out made me really crave my own customized tailored, bespoke system for myself. And a few months ago, what I came across was this idea of sleeper build PCs and people taking old office Dell Optiplexes, such as this type of thing, this little thing here. Um, I thought, yeah, I want to do that because I love taking, just a little piece of garbage basically and transforming it into something properly decent or surprisingly good. So I picked myself up one of those for really cheap, something like 130 pound probably. Um, and then I put a slightly better CPU in it, like an Intel i7, and then the next stage was to put a GPU in it, a graphics card, which I went for. This is like as slim and as tiny graphics card as you can get because these things have no space in them. This just about slid in between or just above the power supply. Everything is just jam packed, as you can imagine. The main issue was that it was overheating like crazy. Like my temperature readings for the CPU and GPU were reaching 100 degrees Celsius, and you know the companies will tell you that that's not anything to really worry about. You're not going to set the house on fire, but still you're reducing the life of your CPU. So um, next stage for me was, how do I cool this down? So I decided to buy my own case, which I'll show a little bit later on. But I bought my own case, and it's a micro case, but it's quite big compared to what that is. And it came along with the fancy disco ball lights, the RGB lights, which I'm not a huge fan of, but they do look pretty cool, and I've taken a liking to them now. Um, that was the idea for that, was to cool everything down, so to make a bit more space for the air, and also to have some fans bringing intake cool air in and exhaust hot air out. And then go from there, which I did, and then that improved the performance. So what I'll do next is I'll talk you through the build that I've created. But first off, the reason that I went for that then is, again, I took a notion. I was like, something I've never done, I've always wanted to do, was sim race, and build like a sim rig. I've always here and there played video games, and particularly racing games. I love motorsport. I love racing cars. I love cars, and I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a steering wheel, pedals, and a stick shift? So I thought, right, I'll set a bit of money aside and I'll go entry level and see what you can get for the bare minimum. So I went for Logitech. Hopefully I can lift this across. This Logitech steering wheel, and a stick shift, and then pedals, which you can't see, but you've got the clutch, brake, and accelerator. So the Dell Optiplex was able to run that okay, just about getting away with it, but nothing compared to what you want to do. And whenever you get better, you want to start competing, start being competitive with the guys online that you're racing with, and the girls as well. You'd be surprised how many girls are on there. So what I'll do next is I'm going to cut to my build at the moment, which I've only done in the last week or so. I've still got a couple of bits to do to it, but I'm going to talk you through each bit each component in that and show you how simple it is, and just improve your confidence and your knowledge to do this if you want to do, to go and do this yourself. Is my goal here, to show you that, and to show you how fun it is, and what satisfaction you can get from just creating your own thing. So here we go. So as you can see, it's like an absolute disco in there, which again I didn't really like at the start, but now I think it looks pretty cool. I'm not a pro at cable management, as you can tell. I've tried to make it as tidy as possible without cables being all over the place. I've kind of dumped them all down in there, just in that little cubby hole. So I'll just talk you through what I've got going on here. So behind this here, we've got this, I think it's a 5600 AMD Ryzen. What happened initially was that Amazon delivered a bunch of components completely wrecked, completely damaged, and I wasn't sure if I was going to build anymore. I decided to give them a second chance, and then everything arrived dead on. So what's going on here? That is a water cooler. So the stock cooler was cooling it all right, but I wanted to take it up a notch. What that does is there's a water pump inside there and a copper plate on the bottom of that. So that takes the heat from the CPU and transfers it into the water, and the water gets pumped away up this hose into a radiator up here, and then above the computer, cold air gets drawn down through here with these fans, and then the cold water flows back into the CPU and repeats the process again. Over here, where are we? We've got our 2 RAM sticks. Like I say, I opted for a motherboard with 4 spaces, so I will be taking up those other 2 spaces. We've got 32 gig of RAM so far as it stands. We've got this right here is where the latest type of storage drive is going to go. That should be here today. That's an M.2 NVMe solid state drive, which is the fastest storage drive you can possibly have. And then, as I said, down here we've got our graphics card. That's the box, although it doesn't tell you much, but what I can show you, I'll just grab it real quick, is we've got an Asus RTX 3060 with 12 gigabyte of GDDR6 video memory. That's last generation, but I just have no need for going to like the 40 series. I just don't need the performance. So that is the rig there. So as you can see, it's pretty and it does the job. Okay, so I will cut back to myself and just finish off talking about a couple of more things. So third time lucky. Having a few technical difficulties, ironically. So I just wanted to show a little bit of gameplay, a little bit of what this thing can do regarding the racing side of things, and 2 things as well that I forgot to mention as well, just to complete the whole setup, is you need a half decent monitor as well. If you're going to put all that work into the components and making sure that it can produce a decent frame rate, decent graphics and all that there, go for a half decent monitor as well. It's a non-negotiable. I went for a 32-inch 1440p 165 hertz curved monitor. It's my first curved monitor. It's very, very immersive. I've had to move it just over a wee bit to the side there just to record. And then I already had these, but these are Skullcandy headphones, quite expensive headphones. I had these originally for music, and now I usually use them for gaming because they're quite good, and you can't hear anything else. So I'll stick these on, and I'll keep an ear off just to so I can hear what I'm saying. But what I'm going to do is record a bit of gaming, and then I'm going to either cut that into the video, or I'm going to picture in picture and maybe show it within the video. So I'm going to get that recording, and then we're going to start the race. I've made a couple of mods to the setup as well. So I've changed the paddles and made them magnetic so that you get a nice clicky, flappy feeling on them. And then with the brake pedal underneath here, I've taken it apart, put a progressive spring and some like hard foam vibration dampening material in there, just to give it that firmness that a real brake pedal would have in a real car, just for, again, immersion. It's all about immersion. Sometimes it becomes so immersive that you go out to drive your car in the street and I'm left foot braking and I don't know where I'm going to put my feet, and I'm taking corners at high speed and things. But you play these games, you try these games, and you realise that every racing game you've ever played has been an arcade racer, and there's no realism whatsoever. This here, you brake too hard, you lock up, you go straight. Or if you put the foot down too hard, you just lose the back end of the car. Spin out so easy. Here we go. Oh no, straight away. Pulls in front of me. Dirty Aston Martin. Everyone's passing me into the first corner of Nürburgring. Let's see if we can cut inside here.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Rubbing is racing, as they say.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Dream one day is to get good enough at this track to go in real life and take maybe a Renault Clio or a Corsa around it or something. Definitely not a Lamborghini. Wouldn't like to be paying for a smashed up broken Lamborghini and then end up on YouTube. Idiot crashes Lamborghini at Nürburgring. Oh, you're breaking early, son.
Car on the right.
Mercedes AMG GT always let me past. Back into first.
Clear on the right.
So, and for those of you who don't know, when you ever felt a steering wheel, like a sim racing wheel, this thing is fighting you all the time. Like, you can feel your grip level, you can feel the bumps in the road, feel everything, and it's fighting back, it's pushing back. As you turn, it's pushing back to the centre. It's wanting to straighten the wheels out just as it would sort of in a normal car. And then this one is entry level, so it's like 2 Newton meters, which isn't very strong, but it gets to the stage where you're using direct drive wheels, and they do this in real life as well, particularly in F1. If you spin out or if you're going to crash, you take your hands off the wheel because it will snap your bloody wrists off. It is that serious, you know. And yeah, I'm still using the racing line the odd time on the likes of Nürburgring here, because it's whenever you're going around it in a fast car, it's the corners really sneak up on you, and it's very easy to bin it. So far so good here. I'm not going to do a full lap of this here because it's going to take about 10 minutes at my per speed. But I'll get a good launch down this straight, get some good gear changes in. wrap it up at some point around here whenever I crash, which is now. And it's close. And it's close. And it's close. There we go. That's a good time to leave it alone. So there you go. That was my little description of how to get into building your own sort of budget PC. Like I say, maybe £600 spent, and it'll, if sim racing is what you want to do, the wheel and the pedals and stick were about 200, and they're worth it in my opinion. You can go right up to, you know, thousands, but you know, you might as well be a real racing driver at that stage. But yeah, that's all there is to it. Hopefully you enjoyed that little description of what's going on, and I'll stick in the gameplay footage into the video, and maybe I'll make something else whenever it comes time to upgrade this thing. I'll stick out another video. So if you made it this far, thanks for watching, because I know that this is hella boring for a lot of people. So if you made it this far, you're a fucking nerd.